A week ago, the real eldest daughter of the Taylor family came to the door. That's when I found out that I was an imposter, but my biological parents were already dead, and the Taylor family decided to continue adopting me. The newly returned eldest daughter was very dissatisfied with me, the imposter. She not only stole all the attention of my parents and brother but also wanted to take back her fiancé, who was supposed to be hers. I didn't really care. I just wanted to have a meal and survive. However, when I tried to return the fiancé to her, my usually gentle fiancé showed such a gloomy expression for the first time. He tightly wrapped his arms around my waist, looked down at me, exuding an overwhelming sense of oppression. "Sonny, I've known since we were kids that you can only be mine." Just then, the eldest daughter pushed the door open. She blinked and showed two cute little canine teeth as she smiled. "Brother Sam, didn't you promise Auntie to have dinner with me?" Strangely, I suddenly heard the roar in her mind. "Damn perverted male lead. Stay away from the female lead. She belongs to the second male lead." I become strange. Normal people can't read minds, but I can, only Linda's mind, though. Linda is my nominal younger sister. She's a real member of the Taylor family, while I'm not. The day she was brought back, my parents and brother hugged her and cried. I stood there, clearly feeling like an outsider. After that day, I knew I couldn't act spoiled or willful anymore. I just needed to be the background in this family. Everyone started revolving around Linda. I could understand that Linda hated me, the imposter. After all, I had occupied her place for 19 years. She had suffered a lot outside. While I had lived a prosperous and comfortable life, I was content with the status quo and took it easy. My parents, brother, and even my fiancé Sam Franklin, who was engaged to me since childhood, should belong to her. Linda has been going to the Franklin family often recently. When she comes back, she shows off in front of me, saying how kind Aunt Franklin is to her and how gentle and polite Sam is to her. With her around, the whole Franklin family is always full of life. My usually affectionate brother has wished to speak but stopped on a second thought several times when he saw me. Finally, my mother came to me and said, "Sonny, Linda has really taken a fancy to Sam. She's knitting scarves and making pastries for him." If Linda hadn't been lost, she would probably be the one engaged to Sam. Before she could finish, I immediately said, "Mom, as long as my sister is happy, that's fine." My mother first let out a sigh of relief, and then she seemed to feel a bit guilty. "Good girl. In the future, Mom will keep an eye out for excellent boys for you. I won't let you down." I nodded obediently. But now everyone knows how awkward my position is in the Taylor family. Excellent boys will probably stay away from me. Oh well, I didn't plan to rely on men anyway. However, somehow Sam caught wind of this. He casually walked into my room just like when we were kids. We had been childhood friends for so many years. Since we were little, he liked to hang out in my room, and I liked to play house and pretend to be his mother, forcing him to eat the fried rice I made out of play dough. But this was the first time he barged in without knocking after we grew up. "Sam." As soon as I opened my mouth, he grabbed my wrist and pulled me up from the sofa. His strength was a bit rough. I then realized that when I stood in front of him, I only reached his chest. Through his thin white shirt, I could see the undulating muscle lines on his chest, exuding a dangerous wildness. He was naughty as a child, but he became gentle and calm when he grew up. I had never seen this side of him before. My wrist hurt from his grip. I wanted to scold him like I used to, but then I thought, he was about to become my brother-in-law. There was no point arguing with him. Unexpectedly, when he saw that I didn't say anything, he went even further. He put his arm around my waist and hugged me tightly. Even though we had been engaged for a long time, we had never been this intimate before. "Sam, are you crazy?" I couldn't help but curse and try to break free. "Shoo." His voice was low and hoarse, whispering in my ear, "Be good, let me hold you for a while." I struggled even harder, but it was useless against his absolute strength. After hugging me for a while, he suddenly looked down at me. His eyes were so dark that they seemed to swallow me up. "Sonny, I've known since we were kids that you can only be mine." I felt uncomfortable under his aggressive gaze, feeling as if this childhood friend had turned into a wolf that had been lurking in the dark for a long time. When Linda came in, Sam didn't let go. I was in such an awkward situation that my scalp was tingling. But Linda was obviously a girl with a lot on her mind. She remained calm in the face of this scene. She just smiled and said, "Brother Sam, didn't you promise Auntie to have dinner with me?" At the same time, without moving her mouth, I heard her loud roar. It was like a thunderbolt striking the room, echoing for a long time. damn perverted male lead. Stay away from the female lead. She belongs to the second male lead. Sam's expression remained unchanged. I thought I was hearing things. But then another thought came. Disgusting guy. Come down and have dinner right now. Don't bother the female lead. Otherwise, watch out or I'll send you to jail in the future. Looking at Linda, who was smiling innocently, I felt like my worldview had been shocked like never before. But she was completely unaware and continued to roar in her mind. I'm here. I won't let you have a chance to hurt the female lead. Got it. From then on, I could always hear such strange words from Linda's mind. For example, one day when she came back from having dinner with Sam, she showed off in front of me as usual. Brother Sam is so nice. When he heard me complain that it was troublesome to eat fish, he took out all the fish bones for me. He said there's a restaurant with really delicious fish and will take me there next time. I'm sure I'll fall in love with eating fish. But in her mind, there were nothing but swear words. Bullshit. That son of a bitch Sam, who the hell is he showing that dirty look to during dinner? It's not like I forced him to go. He's greedy for the female lead and also wants the Taylor family's help to strengthen his position in the Franklin family. Trash. Absolute social trash. He's good for nothing except his face. I sincerely hope he's small and incompetent. A 3-second wonder. I couldn't help but laugh. Linda immediately looked at me, and her fake expression almost couldn't hold up. Her inner voice sounded again. Why is she laughing? Then she seemed to understand quickly. Sigh. With this mental state, it seems she's gone crazy because of me. I hope she's okay, but it's better to end the pain quickly. Stay away from this perverted jerk and be happy for the rest of your life. Linda walked past me and went up the stairs. Suddenly, she turned around and smiled provocatively at me. Sister, she said, I'm determined to get Brother Sam. After that, she walked away like a peacock showing off its feathers, accompanied by her excited inner voice. Yeah, I'm awesome. I should get an Oscar someday. My brother came back from a business trip in Chile. He brought gifts. Linda and I each got a crystal bracelet. She got an extra pair of pearl earrings, and I got an extra jar of chocolate, which I specifically asked my brother to bring for me. My brother knew that I wasn't very interested in jewelry and preferred sweets. Linda took a fancy to my chocolate. She wanted the whole jar. My brother couldn't resist her persistent pleading and said to me, Sonny, Linda has never eaten these before, and her previous family couldn't afford them. How about giving the chocolate to her this time? I'll have someone buy some more for you later. I never thought that my family members were so good at making empty promises. The moment I gave the chocolate to Linda, her mind was in a turmoil again. This is ridiculous. Why don't they go to India if they're so good at making promises? They can even make parathas there. What a spineless wimp. His backbone is probably gone with the Indian para, the female lead. Lose hope in this useless guy quickly. After all, once he gets married, it'll be even worse. He'll let his wife bully you. Now he asks you to endure giving up a jar of chocolate. In the future, if his wife slaps you, he'll also ask you to endure it. Female lead, wake up. There aren't that many things in this world that are worth enduring. I looked up at her in a daze. There aren't that many things in this world that are worth enduring. I don't know what about this sentence touched me, but tears started falling from my eyes. Since I was a child, I was taught to endure. Regarding family upbringing, when I wanted to laugh out loud, I endured. I was taught to be strong, so when I wanted to cry, I endured. To keep my figure, when I wanted to eat, I endured. When I was bullied or wronged at school, I endured. When I was afraid of the dark, ghosts, or thunder, I endured. They needed a perfect eldest daughter of the Taylor family. Sonny, the most common sentence I heard was, Sonny, just endure it and it'll be okay. For the first time, someone told me, there aren't that many things in this world that are worth enduring. I didn't endure this time. Tears kept falling, and I felt an inexplicable sense of grievance. Linda was visibly flustered. My brother was also stunned. Sonny, it's just a jar of chocolate. Linda interrupted him angrily. Shut up. My brother trembled at her shout. Her inner voice became extremely anxious. Does she like chocolate that much? I shouldn't have taken it. I'm so angry. Why do I have to play the role of the evil supporting female character? Can anyone tell me, will I still seem evil if I give half of the stolen chocolate back? Stop crying, sis, you're my sister. Okay, she was trying to make me laugh again. Just as I was about to turn my tears into laughter, a man's magnetic and deep voice came from the side. TSK, why are you crying? I looked up and saw a man in a suit sitting on the sofa. I didn't know how long he had been watching. His features were somewhat similar to Sam's, but he was more sharp-featured and cold-looking, with an extremely aggressive appearance. I held back my tears and greeted him politely. Uncle, of course. He wasn't really my uncle. I just called him that because Sam did. He was Sam's uncle, the youngest son of the Franklin family. He was also a rising star in the business world in recent years, having doubled the Franklin family's business. He had become very famous. At the same time, I heard Linda's mind shout wildly, "Holy crap! Why is the second male lead here? The second male lead. Was this the second male lead that Linda had been longing for?" I thought it was absurd. Charles and I had nothing to do with each other. He wasn't someone I could easily get involved with. The term genius was more than appropriate for him, despite his young age. He had made waves in the business world with his abilities. We didn't have much interaction before, except for greeting each other when we met. He was more than 8 years older than me, and we moved in completely different circles. But then again, why was he at our house? I wanted to see if Linda knew anything. As it turned out, she had a lot to think about, and her thoughts were all over the place. It was hard for me to make sense of it all. So handsome, so handsome, so handsome. This man is damn sexy. Isn't he more charming than that 3-second wonder Sam? Female lead. Look at him, a suit-clad tough guy who only bends for your delicate flower. No delicate flower could resist. Right. My roommate wanted to see you two get together before she died. My roommate is a sucker for this kind of stuff, and so am I. Woof. Well, it was all nonsense. I was thinking about excusing myself and going out, but then I saw my brother step forward towards Charles. I remembered that they were about the same age. My brother and Charles went to the same high school. When we met in Chile last time, you said you'd come to my place. I thought it would be a while, but I unexpected that we'd meet again so soon. For some reason, I felt that Charles looked at my brother coldly, but then I thought, no, he looked at everyone coldly. There was ice in his eyes. He lazily said, "Oh, when I heard you say there was delicious chocolate in Chile, I bought too much. So I thought I'd bring some over, and it just so happens." Charles's gaze lingered on me for a moment. The little girl is so sad without her chocolate. I was taken aback. Then I felt embarrassed, realizing that he had seen the whole process of me crying. I'd better leave. It was too embarrassing to stay. Linda next to me was already incoherent, just making woofing sounds like a dog. I was also afraid that I might not be able to hold back and laugh out loud. "Thank you, Uncle." I put on a proper smile, "But I need to go to school right now. I'll have to savor those chocolates later. I don't want to bother you anymore. Goodbye." After saying that, I turned around and tried to leave. Who knew that Charles would stop me from behind? "You go to the same school as Sam, a university?" I turned around and replied, "Yes." He stood up. "I'm passing by anyway. I'll give you a ride." I was shocked and quickly waved my hands. "No need to trouble yourself. Someone at home will take me." Unexpectedly, Linda got anxious when she heard this. "Sister, you don't know yet. Bob promised to take me to the mall later." She pouted, looking a bit unhappy. "He can't take you." Bob was the family driver. Then, I heard Linda's excited cheering in her mind, changing from her previous woofing sounds. "Second male lead, go for it. Even if the female lead gets on a bus today, I'll drag her off and put her in your car. I'll swallow the car keys, the kind that can't be pooped out." But she had said something that touched me today, and I was happy. I also wanted to make her happy. I looked at Charles. "Then I'll have to trouble you, Uncle. Will it inconvenience you?" He picked up his suit jacket, showing no emotion on his face. "No." I followed Charles amidst Linda's excited thoughts. Just now, Charles opened the car door for me. I think I can brag about this in the future. After all, judging by the current upward trend of his career, he will definitely become a leading figure in his field in the future. Probably many years later, I'll brag to my grandchildren who are gathered around me. "When your grandmother was young, Charles even opened the car door for me. I even called him Uncle. Yes, he's my relative." Then my grandchildren will look at me innocently and ask, "Grandma, how could the richest person have a poor relative like you?" My thoughts drifted away. It was Charles who interrupted my imagined retirement life. "Do you want to listen to music?" he asked me. "That's right, otherwise, it would be more or less embarrassing in the atmosphere where we're not too familiar with each other." "Sure," I nodded. "What do you want to listen to?" I casually said, "Baby." Charles paused and didn't say anything. Justin's Baby played in the car stereo. I saw his fingers tapping on the steering wheel. showing a bit of restlessness. I quietly listened to the song. After a while, Charles suddenly said, "Do you like Sam that much?" "Oh no, is such a successful person also this gossipy? Come to think of it, I do like Sam, and I don't deny that. Since I was a child, I knew that he would be my husband in the future. So it was only natural for me to like him, but saying, like him that much, seems a bit too much. However, these two are from the same family, so I have to say something nice, say something that elders like to hear." Just as I was thinking about how to answer, I heard Charles let out a soft sigh. Forget it, he suddenly lost his impulse to gossip. I admire him. This is probably the key to success. If he can even suppress the desire to gossip, then there's nothing in this world that can tempt him. But for some reason, the air pressure in the car suddenly dropped. Obviously, the air conditioner wasn't on, so why did it feel a bit cold? Perhaps this chill seeped into my mind, and I remembered what Linda said just now. There aren't that many things in this world that are worth enduring. Yeah, why think so much? My engagement with Sam is about to be called off, so why should I still care about whether my words sound good or not? I don't like him that much, actually. I told the truth. I like his looks and his mind, but that's about it. Charles stepped on the brake. I was startled, thinking I had said something wrong. He coughed softly and his expression looked a bit flustered. "A bird flew by," he explained. Maybe it was my imagination, but I saw the corner of Charles's mouth twitch. See, I was really scared. How could Charles possibly smile? "This bird is nice." I started talking nonsense. "You can tell that its soul is very free. It doesn't fly the ordinary way." This time, I clearly saw the corner of Charles's mouth rise. He can actually smile. It's been revealed, Charles isn't an AI. Sam, Charles's fingers tapped the steering wheel again, lightly. His looks and mind are indeed quite good. This is affirmation from an elder. He continued, "However, there are people better than him. What a humble family." I admired them once again. I said with respect, "Uncle, your words always benefit me a lot. I want to learn from you." He seemed to be at a loss for words, and his expression looked like he was helpless. Charles isn't as unapproachable as rumored. Instead, he's quite easy to talk to. We talked all the way, and then we arrived at the school. As soon as I got out of the car, I heard him open the car door and get out as well. When he saw me looking over, Charles waved the cigarette box in his hand, going to smoke a cigarette. He leaned against the car, tilted his head, and lit a cigarette for himself. White smoke slowly spread out, and through the smoke, I saw him squint his eyes slightly. Linda's description of Charles rang in my ears again. A suit-clad tough guy with a cold face. This man is damn sexy. I think there's probably some truth to it. Seeing that I hadn't left yet, Charles started to shoo me away. "Going quickly, Uncle," I sincerely praised. "You look really handsome when you smoke." He was taken aback for a moment, and then I changed the topic. "But don't smoke too much. You're also handsome without smoking. I sincerely hope that good people will have a peaceful life, and Uncle should be healthy." Charles stared at me, and he even forgot to put the cigarette in his mouth. That layer of smoke was really in the way. I actually thought there was an indescribable light in his eyes. "Sonny," he extinguished the cigarette. It took me a while to realize that he was calling me. "Can I call you that?" Charles asked. I felt the care from an elder. "It's okay if you think so, Uncle." His cold expression softened for some reason. "See you next time, Sonny," Charles said. I waved my hand and smiled. "Goodbye, Uncle." I had just walked a few steps when a familiar voice came into my mind. I hate it. What on earth are they talking about? I really want to know. Heavenly Father, I, a devout woman, am willing to use my ex-boyfriend's 10 years of life in exchange for borrowing the ears of the God of the Wind. I promise to return them. Woohoo. I even asked Bob to drive quickly here, but I can't hear anything. However, the second male lead's car drives really slowly. I've been waiting here for a long time. I don't care. He did it on purpose. He. Obviously, it was Linda. I searched for a long time and finally saw her among a cluster of bushes not far away. She was crouching in the bushes, holding 2 branches as camouflage. So silly. I pretended not to see her and walked straight ahead. A person came towards me. I hadn't seen him for a while. Sam also saw me, and our eyes met. I suddenly remembered, "Baby" is his favorite song. This was the first time we met after he forcefully hugged me. Remembering the way his eyes sparkled like a wolf's that day, I always felt uncomfortable. We grew up together since we were kids. He has been involved in many aspects of my life, more or less. I thought I knew Sam well enough. But that side of him was strange and terrifying, however. Now that our engagement is about to be cancelled, I don't want to have too much interaction with Sam either. I nodded, which was a greeting to him. Just as I was about to walk past Sam, he grabbed my hand. Sonny, he faced me. Are you angry with me? Strangely enough, he's about to become someone else's husband. But I don't feel angry, no. I looked up at him. Please let go of my hand. Sam was even more certain. Don't be angry. He lowered his head, and his voice was a bit soft. I was slightly stunned. This was the way he was whenever he made me angry in the past. I used to really think that he looked pitiful like this, like a little dog that had been caught in the rain. Thinking about it now, he's clearly a wolf. Why pretend to be a dog? I'm not falling for this anymore. Sam, my tone turned cold. Let go. Sam looked at me silently for a while. After a long time, he let go of my hand. Sonny, you know I have no choice, he said. The Franklin family is such a big piece of meat, and there are so many people who want to share. There are so many people eyeing me from behind. If I'm not careful, I'll lose it. I know everything, he said. The Franklin family is the leader among the wealthy. However, with a big business comes a big family. Grandpa Franklin has 8 sons alone. And Charles is the youngest son and the most favored by Grandpa Franklin. Recently, there has been a faint tendency to pass the position to him. Sam's father was the 3rd son and wasn't valued when he was alive. He passed away due to illness when Sam was 8 years old. Sam is walking on a tightrope. He has ambition, and I've always known that, so I can understand that he wants to give up on me, who has no value. I didn't even think about blaming him, but he shouldn't have. Even though he gave me up, he's still leading me on. Seeing that I didn't speak for a long time, Sam thought I was wavering and continued, give me some time. Sonny, it won't be long, wait for me. He probably learned the skill of making empty promises when he went to India for further study with my brother. I laughed. Just as I was about to say something sarcastic, a deafening roar came. Damn it, I'll wait for your grandmother's leg. Linda appeared behind Sam. If looks could kill, Sam would have been stabbed in the back by now, but she immediately put on a sweet smile. Brother Sam, I was going to look for you in the library. I just happened to meet you at the door. Should I say it's a coincidence or fate? Damn it, I can even run into this asshole. She looked at me again, and a bit of a tea flavor started to mix in her smile. Sister is here too, female lead. Quickly stay away from the scumbag. His empty promises are even worse than your brother's. Linda affectionately hooked her arm around Sam's. Brother Sam, accompany me to go shopping. Stop pestering the female lead. Come on, play with me. I'll make you suffer. I have to hold back. I can't laugh. Sam stiffened for a moment and slowly pulled his arm out, but he didn't mean to scold her. He just said indifferently, I still have something to do. Linda looked aggrieved. Can't you spare just a little while? No. Sam pinched the bridge of his nose. I seemed to see a vein pop out on Linda's forehead. Do you think you're so important? If I wasn't afraid that you'd pester the female lead, who the hell would want to walk with you? Do you know that the air beside you is severely polluted? I admit that Linda has a bit of acting skills. A bit, but not much. She exaggeratedly put her hand on her forehead and fell onto Sam with an extremely sudden movement. My head hurts so much, she said. I'm actually the one with the best acting skills here. I can even hold back from laughing. Brother Sam, my head hurts so much, she said weakly. Can you carry me to the school infirmary? Sam quickly glanced at me. I even felt a bit sorry for him. Linda was afraid that I would follow, so she added in a low voice, Sister doesn't need to come. I don't know why. When I see Sister, my head hurts so much. Her inner voice and her outward expression were completely different. Her inner voice was full of energy. Hurry up and leave, run, disappear immediately. Don't even leave a corner of your clothes in the male lead sight. He's such a crazy obsessive. Stay away from him. When Sam carried Linda on his back, I had already walked some distance away, but I could still hear her muttering softly, I should have eaten more these past few days. Crush him to death. She didn't crush him to death, but Sam and I cancelled our engagement. His mother came to my parents, and during the time they sat together having afternoon tea, they happily cancelled our engagement and changed it to Sam and Linda. They know something about returning goods bought online. I'm the fake one, so they returned me and got the real one. But overall, it's still a bit of a loss, because usually online, if it's a fake, you get 10 times the compensation, until almost half a month later. I saw Sam again at a birthday party. Lucy The only daughter of the James family, was having a birthday. She has always liked socializing, and most of the young people in the circle came. Recently, I've been busy with my studies. When I finally had some free time, I thought I'd come here to relax. I stayed at the school for 2 days and went directly to the venue. When I got there, I found that Linda was also there. She was greeting Lucy. Sister Lucy, this dress suits you so well. When I saw you from a distance just now, I thought you were a fairy. Linda had a sweet tongue. Happy birthday. You still look like a high school student. How can you be celebrating your 25th birthday? She flattered Lucy so much that Lucy couldn't stop smiling. The liveliness over there was completely out of place with me, who was left in the corner. But I didn't feel lonely at all, because Linda's inner thoughts were much more interesting than these people. She was scolding again. I'm so annoyed, this brainless woman. Does she like listening to lies that much? She believes everything she's told. Doesn't she have a brain? What kind of birthday gifts are these people giving? Can't they pool their money and buy her a brain? I can't stand it anymore. Don't hold my hand. Okay, I'm afraid brainlessness will be contagious. Leave me alone. With me here, you'll never be able to be the female lead sister in law in this lifetime. Ah. So Lucy is the sister in law who always bullied me and slapped me after she married into the family. If this were in the past, I would have found it unbelievable. I'm a slow, warming person. Although Lucy is 5 years older than me, she was one of my few friends, until today, when I came here with a gift. After she received the gift, she just glanced at me indifferently, then casually put the gift aside and left me alone. I knew that in her eyes. I'm just an adopted daughter of the Taylor family now. My engagement with Sam is off, and I have no backing, so I'm no longer a person she needs to socialize with. I sat in the corner, eating and drinking, enjoying the leisure. People beside me were chatting. I heard that Lucy really managed to invite Charles today. Definitely. Didn't you see that she's wearing the latest high-end limited edition dress today? When I came just now, she was showing off, saying that Charles would come later. Could it be that they really get together? Then Lucy has really found a powerful backer. Everyone knows that the Franklin family is booming now, and Charles has contributed a great deal to it. Look, speaking of the Franklin family, Sam is here today too. He's been quite dramatic recently. He broke off his engagement with the fake daughter of the Taylor family and is going to marry the real daughter who just came back. He's so heartless. In the past, they were always together wherever they went, but now they broke up just like that. Shoo, Sonny is sitting over there. Their voices gradually became quieter, and I couldn't hear them anymore. It's boring. I wanted to keep listening. After drinking 2 glasses of wine, I was full and satisfied, just as I was about to leave. Lucy came to me with a few of her little sisters. The first thing she said was, "You haven't left yet. What kind of situation is this? Why are they even chasing people away?" I pointed to the empty plate in my hand. I was just about to. "I heard that Charles drove you to school that day." Lucy started venting her anger randomly. "Seeing that there's no hope with Sam, you started going after Charles. Sonny, you have such a big appetite. Aren't you afraid of choking?" I found it funny. So it's jealousy. She's even jealous of such a small thing. How pitiful. If it were the old me, I would have endured it. I hate baseless accusations, but now I've long thrown away my previous patience. I just want to be carefree. You're so unconfident. I looked her up and down, and then let out a laugh from my throat. That's right. She immediately exploded. "Sonny, don't you know your current situation? Do I still need to tell you? You're just a tool for the Taylor family's marriage alliance. In the future, who knows when they'll need a project and just trade you away. In this regard, a dog has more human rights than you, but your last bit of value is just this. Otherwise, why would the Taylor family continue to keep you? Linda is much more likable than you." She spoke quite loudly, and many people at the scene focused their attention on us, including Sam's, but he didn't move. There was only one voice getting closer and closer. "Damn it, Sam is really a jerk." Just like in the original story, he wants to wait until the female lead is completely at the last moment before he takes action. He wants to PUA the female lead. I really want to electrocute him until he becomes a CPU. Linda slowly approached, but not too close. "Forget it. Let Lucy scold a few words. It doesn't really hurt. It can also make the female lead wake up as soon as possible. After all, that's exactly what the Taylor family has in mind. I'll just sit back and watch the drama today. Fight, fight." Linda started cheering in her mind. However, she was about to be disappointed. "I'm not good at arguing. I have a clumsy tongue, But having been the eldest daughter of the Taylor family for so many years, I know plenty of secrets about these people. If I were to reveal just one of them, Lucy would be in big trouble, so let her scold. It doesn't really affect me. I'm just listening, seeing that I didn't respond. Lucy became even more aggressive, as the saying goes, like begets like. Sonny, I heard that your biological parents were farmers, she sneered. If you were sent back, you'd have to plant rice and work in the fields, with endless labor every day. Come to think of it, you should be glad they're already dead. Before Lucy could finish, a bottle of red wine was poured all over her head. She shrieked and stood up, unable to open her eyes because of the wine. Damn it, I couldn't hold back. I looked up in a daze and saw Linda standing behind Lucy, holding an empty wine bottle. Who is it? Lucy shouted with her eyes closed. On the verge of a breakdown, Linda showed her little canine teeth and smiled. It's me, Sister Lucy. Happy birthday to you, Linda. Are you crazy? Lucy wiped the red wine off her face, looking extremely ashamed and angry. It seemed as if flames of fury were about to burst out of the birthday girl. I'm fine, thanks. And you? Linda said quickly. Oh. You don't look fine at all. Lucy rolled her eyes and almost fainted. The whole place fell silent. The instigator of all this was feeling extremely elated in her mind. This is so damn satisfying. I told you to engage in female rivalry. Engage in female rivalry. Engage in female rivalry. Those who engage in female rivalry should be expelled from humanity. You'll be a sow in your next life. No one will take care of you after childbirth. You won't even be able to give birth to piglets. Lucy's face turned as purple as liver, looking like she was about to run out of oxygen from holding her breath. Do you need me to call an ambulance for you? Linda asked, kindly. Better send you to the psychiatry department first to fix that brain of yours. Seeing that she couldn't do anything about Linda's sharp tongue, Lucy started to cry softly. The birthday girl was in tears, and everyone was ready to blame Linda. Itching to say something, she sneered in her mind. This is ridiculous. Acting all innocent, this is old hat for me. I'll show you all a real man, eater. Suddenly, Linda's expression changed, and her crying instantly drowned out Lucy's sobs. She sat on the ground wailing, wah, bullying people. She cried like a wild giant salamander, all noise and no skill. Is this how your James family treats guests? Everyone was stunned. They couldn't utter a word of blame and were left in awe of her ability to turn the tables. Even Lucy was shocked and forgot to cry for a moment. She shakily pointed at Linda but couldn't say a word. The situation reached a deadlock. I mustered up my emotions, and 2 streams of tears fell. Lucy, my sister and I came here with good intentions to celebrate your birthday. Why are you treating us like this? All eyes turned to me again. I could almost see the big question marks and ellipses above their heads. Why was another person crying now? Well, I didn't really want to either. After all, having lived as the eldest daughter of the Taylor family for 20 years, I've never lost my composure in front of outsiders since I was. But Linda's act needed a good ending, and I had to provide it. Moreover, being in the middle of this farce, I found this novel feeling quite amusing. Linda's crying stopped for a moment. My God, is my acting that good? This naive female lead actually believed it. She looks so pitiful crying like this. Damn it. I guess Lucy's words really hurt her. Woohoo, my poor female lead. She cried even louder. I almost lost the emotions I had built up. For a moment, I was speechless and almost laughed. Lucy, already confused, was even more bewildered by our performance. She spoke feebly, but I didn't. With red, rimmed eyes, I interrupted her. I know, now that my status isn't good enough to play with you, it doesn't matter that you ignored me, insulted me, and said I'm worse than a dog in the Taylor family, but how could you say that it's a good thing my biological parents are dead? They were my biological parents and the relatives Linda has been with for 20 years. I pointed at Linda, who was still wailing on the ground, and choked at the right moment. She was already heartbroken, and with your provocation, she's on the verge of collapse now. Look how sad she is crying. So, Lucy, what's wrong with pouring a bottle of red wine on you? You only lost a bottle of red wine. But Linda, she lost her family. Lucy couldn't get a word in edgewise and could only stand there, fuming. The crowd also fell silent, and it seemed like the tide was turning. Isn't it always the case? The weaker one seems to be in the right. I wanted Linda to be the one in a disadvantaged position. But that silly girl was still thinking in her mind, wah, the female lead is so kind. I bullied her before, stole the person she liked, and even took her favorite chocolate. Yet she's still standing up for me. She has to have a good life in this lifetime. Protect the female lead. I blinked, and tears fell naturally. It felt so good. This feeling of having someone unconditionally support me from behind was something only I knew in this world, a silent form of support. I pretended to be sobbing sadly. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Sam, who had been sitting there, seemingly stand up. This was probably the moment Linda mentioned, the moment when I was desperate, and he was about to come and save me. It was indeed a good PUA technique, but unfortunately, I wasn't desperate at all. I was wide awake and could tell who was sincere and who was fake. Just as he was walking towards me, someone rushed past him, their steps a bit unsteady, and finally stopped right in front of me. Lucy, recognizing the person, started crying pitifully. "Charles, you're here," she cried prettily, as if she had deliberately maintained her appearance, but her sobs were nothing compared to Linda's wailing, which was deafening. At this moment, Linda's wailing stopped. "Wait, why is the second male lead here? This isn't in the script." "Never mind, woof." How could she manage to act like a giant salamander on the outside and bark like a dog in her mind? I wondered if Charles was bothered by the noise. His brows were tightly furrowed, and his already frosty expression turned even colder. He no longer looked as gentle and polite as when he drove me to school that day. Instead, he exuded a sense of coldness and the arrogance he had developed from his years in the business world. Was it because of Lucy, because she was crying? Remembering the gossip I heard earlier, I sighed inwardly. If that was the case, it would be a pity. Uncle is a nice person, and I sincerely hope he can be with an even better girl. Of course, if he were to act out of anger for the sake of a beauty, there would be nothing I could do. After all, this beauty was now covered in red wine, with tears in her eyes and a pitiful expression. But she met Linda tonight, and I believe she was truly miserable. "Why are you crying again?" Charles asked, his voice carrying the calm before a storm. Lucy immediately replied, "It's because I wasn't asking you." An awkward silence filled the air. I heard Charles's tone, which had been as sharp as a sword, soften. "Sonny," he called my name. "Why are you crying again?" I suddenly looked up and realized I had been fake, crying, with tears in my eyes. I met Charles's gaze. There were faint traces of worry hidden deep in his usually indifferent eyes. Why was he asking me? We didn't seem to be that familiar. He just added me on WeChat after giving me a ride last time, and his profile had been inactive ever since. "Oh right, we chatted briefly last week." He asked me. She texted, "Are you okay?" I was confused. She texted, "Uncle, has your account been hacked?" She texted, "About the broken engagement." She texted, "Oh, right." She texted, "I almost forgot about it if you hadn't mentioned it." She texted, "That's good." I was a bit puzzled at the time. What did "that's good" mean? But my confusion didn't last long because Charles asked again. She texted, "What are you doing?" She texted, "Picking out a birthday gift." She texted, "For whom?" She texted, "Lucy, do you know her, Uncle?" She texted, "I do." She texted, "Are you going to her birthday party?" She texted, "Yeah." She texted, "Alright." I was confused again. What did "alright" mean? This must be how powerful people talk, so hard to figure out. By now, I had been lost in thought for a while. Linda's wailing gradually became tinged with anxiety. "Female lead, I won't let you stay silent. Forget it. This worrying, evil supporting female character and her useless female lead. Let the righteous me be your mouthpiece." She got up from the ground, pointed at Lucy, and said to Charles. She gathered a group of people to scold Sister. The things she said were so mean, and she even tried to slap Sister and pour red wine on her. Luckily, she didn't succeed. She exaggerated. "Mr. Franklin, if you had come a little later, Sister might have been beaten by her." Lucy was stunned. She cried sincerely, "I didn't." Charles interrupted her coldly. "That's enough. I don't want to know about your business." It seemed I had misjudged Uncle. He had nothing to do with Lucy. After all, since he came in, he hadn't even glanced at her, even though Lucy was covered in red wine and crying more pitifully. Strangely, he had been looking at me the whole time. A strange feeling welled up in my heart. Just then, I heard Linda's thoughts. "Serves you right. You female, rivalry, obsessed woman, what can you use to compete with the female lead in front of the second male lead? This is blatant favoritism without limits. He's been watching the female lead from behind for so many years. How dare you make the female lead cry? He'll turn your world upside down." I took 2 steps back in shock. I had accidentally stumbled upon a huge revelation, and I was part of it. I was so stunned by this revelation that I couldn't snap out of it. Charles mistakenly thought I was severely frightened by Lucy. His expression darkened, and the atmosphere around us turned icy cold. Everyone held their breath, too afraid to make a sound. Suddenly, he took hold of my wrist. I remembered that Sam had done the same thing that day, forcefully and roughly, leaving a red mark on my wrist. But Charles was completely different. His touch was so gentle, almost tender, which seemed out of character for him. Perhaps it was because I had never been treated with such care before, but something in my chest started pounding wildly. "Let's go," he said to me. I followed him as if possessed, with only one thought in my mind: did he really like me? As we passed by Sam, Sam hid the turbulence in his eyes and greeted Charles humbly and respectfully. "Uncle, Sam," Charles glanced at him coldly. "Don't make me look down on you." I saw Sam clench his fists tightly, but he still smiled calmly on the surface. "You're joking, Uncle, how dare I?" Charles didn't say anything more and just led me towards the door. I felt like I was forgetting something, until, woof 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 woof, woof woof, woof 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 woof. Oh no, I almost forgot about Linda. Ever since Charles took my wrist, she had been too excited to think straight. If it weren't for her barking, I would have thought she had learned to turn invisible. I stopped, and Charles stopped with me. I turned around and looked at Linda, waving to her. "What are you still doing here?" I said. She was clearly taken aback, looking around as if unsure if I was talking to her. What a silly girl. How could I leave her here alone? "Linda," I motioned for her to come over. "Let's go home." I saw a light shine in Linda's eyes, and her expression looked like she was about to cry. So, the scene now was, Linda was running towards me while making whimpering dog-like sounds in her mind. I could almost imagine her wagging her tail, but when she got close to me, she still pretended to be tough. "Just so you know, sister, I didn't do this to help you today. It's just because Lucy said something I didn't like. It has nothing to do with you. So don't get the wrong idea." I lowered my head and smiled quickly. "Okay. I understand," I replied. She seemed to relax. Thank goodness the female lead is naive. I managed to fool her. "Yes, I'm awesome. But why is that jerk Sam still staring at the female lead? Does he want to carry me to the hospital again? I've gained 7 pounds since then. Don't mess with me." Thanks to Linda, I finally noticed a gaze that had been fixed on me, persistent and intense, but I didn't look back, not even once. When I was about to get into Charles's car, I originally wanted to sit in the back seat with Linda, but before I could get in, Linda closed the car door. "Sister," she pretended to be dizzy. "I'm drunk. My left brain and right brain are fighting. They're fighting so fiercely. To stop the fight, I have to feel the wind from the left car window for a while and then the wind from the right car window. Only then will they calm down." "Me, don't you think about what you're saying." Fortunately, she was extremely honest in her heart. "Hurry up and get in the front passenger seat of the second male lead. Hurry up, I want to see it now, right away, immediately. What's the rush? It's not like I've never sat in the front passenger seat before." After sitting in the front passenger seat, when I turned my head, Charles was looking at me. His eyes were inexplicably tender, with an ambiguous glimmer in them. I felt a rush of heat rise to my face. Wait a minute. How could I have thought that his gaze like this was the care of an elder last time? When has Charles ever cared about others? He probably really likes me. "Sonny," Charles suddenly leaned closer to me. I was already preoccupied, and I shrank back in surprise. He reached out and touched my forehead. The feeling was the same as when he held my wrist just now, dry and gentle. I actually seemed to hear the sound of exclamation marks. Linda suddenly stuck her head out from the back seat, almost thrusting her head right in front of us. After a while, Charles withdrew his hand. "Your face is so red. I thought you had a fever." He habitually tapped the steering wheel with his fingers. "Fortunately, you don't." I also silently muttered, "Fortunately, fortunately." He can only see my blushing face and can't hear my racing heart. At this moment, my heart was pounding like thunder. In the past, I only regarded Charles as my uncle. Today, after hearing the gossip from Linda, I had to look at him from a different perspective. The perspective of a woman looking at a man. Once I looked at him this way, it was indeed as Linda said, "This man is damn sexy, the abstinent kind." How could I have only had eyes for Sam in the past? Coincidentally, Linda and I thought of Sam at the same time, and what she thought was, "Ah, let me catch that little Sam and kill him to liven things up for you too. How lucky I am to be in this car." I'm so excited that I want to jump out of the car, do a 360-degree mid-air spin 10 times and do a split while jumping out of the car. You better not. Charles and I started chatting occasionally, but it was all on WeChat. Although Charles was the one who initiated the conversation, he didn't talk much, and it was usually me doing most of the talking. On this day, he was back from a business trip. C texted, "Are you free? Can we meet?" It was a bit sudden. We didn't chat very frequently usually, and since I hadn't yet confronted him about his feelings, I just wanted to let things take their course. This was the first time he had proposed meeting in person. Sheep texted, "What's up?" C texted, "I bought too many cakes and want to bring them to you." Ah, bought too many again. I remembered the chocolates he brought back from Chile that day. He used the same excuse. I deliberately teased him. Sheep texted, "Why do you always buy too many things, uncle?" Sheep texted, "Is it because you're too rich?" I saw that it showed several times that he was typing above the chat box. It seemed that he wrote something and then deleted it, and then wrote again. After a long while, he typed a single character. C texted, "Yes." I couldn't help but laugh through the screen. Just then, Linda, who was passing by, saw me, laughing so happily. "You must be chatting with the second male lead." I don't care. It's no use even if someone tries to persuade me. They're definitely in an online relationship. I buried my head and laughed even harder, my shoulders shaking. Linda put on her peacock showing off its feathers. "Look again, sister, you still have time to play with your phone. I'm so envious." She stopped in front of me. Unlike me, Brother Sam insisted that I go out and have supper with him. Sigh, it's already 8 o'clock. What if I gain weight? No, you've already gained 7 pounds. Besides, wasn't your goal to crush Sam to death? I silently added in my heart, but her inner thoughts were much more exciting than mine. Whenever Sam was involved, she was always full of swear words. Damn it, does Sam have epilepsy or something? It's already 8 o'clock and he's asking me to have supper, and he wants to go to Snack Street. It's so isolated. What the hell is wrong with him? If it weren't for the fear that he would meddle between the female lead and the second male lead when he has nothing better to do. Who the hell would pay attention to him? Eat shit. If he likes eating so much, he should be reincarnated as a male pig in his next life and be a perfect match for that sow Lucy. I sent him my noble and selfless blessing. After Linda finished her ranting and complaining, she looked at her watch and continued. All dolled up. "Oh, it's getting late. I'm going out now. Otherwise, Brother Sam will be worried if he can't wait for me for a long time." Then she turned around and left. When I saw her leave, I finally couldn't hold back and laughed out loud. Charles arrived in 10 minutes. It seemed that when he sent the message, he was already near my house. Today, he wasn't wearing a suit. Instead, he was in a black casual hoodie. His hair must have just been washed, and the bangs that were usually swept up were now hanging down on his forehead. He lacked the usual mature and steady look and had more of a lazy air of youthful frivolity. "Here," he handed me the box in his hand. I heard it's very delicious. The box was transparent, and I saw more than a dozen small cakes of different shapes inside. I couldn't help but swallow. Sweet treats are the best. Looking up at the man in front of me, I felt that I was not only powerless to resist sweet treats. Suppressing the strange flutter in my heart, I quickly took the box and changed the topic. "I didn't expect there to be so many," I said. "It would be great if Linda were here. I could eat them with her right away." Charles raised his eyebrows and casually picked up on my topic. "What, did she go on a trip to Tibet?" He probably couldn't forget that during the second half of the drive when he sent the two of us. Linda was really drunk because she was so excited and started singing loudly in the back seat. Not a single note was on key, but that high note almost killed us. I chuckled. "Uncle, you can also make such jokes." I smiled. "Unfortunately, no. She went to have supper with Sam." Strangely, Charles's expression changed after hearing what I said. "What's wrong?" I stopped smiling. Charles said, "I just came from the Franklin family's courtyard. Sam is there. He said he's going to stay with the old master tonight." My heart tightened, and I felt inexplicably panicked. Just then, I saw Bob, the driver of my family. "Bob," I called out, "did you send Linda out?" Bob shook his head. "No, Linda said that the young master of the Franklin family sent someone to pick her up, and she left in the Franklin family's car." "No, something's not right." I quickly took out my phone and dialed Sam's number. He picked up after only 2 rings. "Sonny." Sam's voice carried a hint of joy. I got straight to the point. "Sam, are you with Linda?" "No." He immediately denied it. "Sonny, I didn't want to listen to his useless words and asked persistently, "Then did you ask Linda to go out for supper?" Sam was taken aback. "No." I was about to hang up the phone. Sam is a perceptive person, and he asked, "Sonny, is something wrong with Linda?" I was torn about whether to tell him, but then I heard him say, "Sonny, don't worry about Linda's business," he said gently but ruthlessly. "If there were no Linda, I felt all the blood rush to my head. "Sam," I swore for the first time, "you're really a piece of shit. How could I have ever liked a scumbag like you?" After hanging up on Sam, I called Linda, but as expected, her phone was turned off. I was anxious and angry, and my hand holding the phone couldn't stop shaking. My mind was in a mess. If something happened to Linda. Until Charles came over and tugged at me. "Sonny, don't worry." His voice was deep and reassuring. "I've already asked someone to check the GPS of Linda's phone, and I'll also check the surveillance cameras in this area. You should think carefully again. Did Linda say anything useful before she left?" He was right. I forced myself to suppress all my anxiety. I quickly went over the words Linda said before she left in my mind. The words she said, they were useless. What she thought in her heart. "It's already 8 o'clock and he's still asking me to go for supper, and he wants to go to Snack Street. It's so remote." Yes, that's it. I suddenly grabbed Charles's sleeve. Snack Street. He was taken aback for a moment and immediately understood what I meant. He got in the car and told Bob to immediately contact the guards and go to Snack Street, for a double guarantee. He also contacted the guards of his own family. Then he stepped on the gas and drove away from the gate of my house. Snack Street was indeed very remote, but fortunately, my house was also in the suburbs, and it wasn't too far from there. When I was in the car, regret filled my mind. If only I had asked Linda a few more questions when she left. Somehow, Charles seemed to sense my emotions. He said, "Sonny, it's not your fault." I shook my head. Charles didn't know. If I had confessed earlier that I could hear what Linda was thinking in her heart. She wouldn't have had to deal with Sam for my sake. Then she wouldn't have been tricked into going out this time. She's such a nice girl, and I'm really afraid that something will happen to her. When we arrived at Snack Street, it used to be lively, but later people moved to the city center, and the streets in the suburbs became deserted. Charles and I asked several stores, but they all said they hadn't seen Linda. I felt weak all over. Fearing that the other party had already taken Linda somewhere else, and the only piece of information I could hold on to was useless. Just when we were at a loss, I heard a familiar voice in my ear. "Damn it, how dare you take advantage of me. Once I break free, I'll crush you guys into bean curd residue." Chastity is nothing. In this day and age, there can't really be any stupid men who think that a woman will die if she loses her chastity, right? If you dare to touch me now, I'll cut off your little thing and feed it to the dogs later. Just you wait. Tears welled up in my eyes immediately. Fortunately, I could hear her. I ran towards the direction of the sound like crazy. This alley was dark and deep. Before I got close, I heard Linda's voice. "Sigh, guys, as you can see, I'm not some pure and delicate young lady. I grew up in the countryside, in our village. Normally, at 17 or 18, a girl should already be a mother. I've seen a lot of these things, so don't think of this as rape or anything. It's a consensual thing. Let's just settle it like this today. Who's going first? Do we play rock, paper, scissors or pointing at soldiers and generals? You guys figure it out. I'm tired. I'll lie down for a while." There was a long silence. I seemed to feel a bit of speechlessness from the criminals in the air, but I just felt sad. She didn't really not care at all. She just had no way to save herself and had to compromise. Otherwise, I wouldn't have heard her mentally cursing the ancestors of these people from all generations. I stopped at the corner and quietly sent the location to Bob, but the criminals here were already about to make a move. I was afraid that it would be too late by the time Bob and the others arrived. Taking a deep breath, I was just about to step out to buy some time. Unexpectedly, as soon as I moved, I was pulled back by Charles beside me. "I'll handle it." He whispered these two words in my ear and then walked out. I paused for less than a second and then turned around and ran out of the alley. Rather than standing there uselessly, it was better to quickly find Bob and the others who had already arrived. Fortunately, not long after I left the alley, I saw Bob leading the guards approaching. I led them running into the alley. As soon as we turned the corner, we heard Linda's scream. I thought she was injured, so I quickened my pace. But when we got there, I realized that it was her mental scream. Her hands were tied, and she was sitting on the ground. She should have looked really embarrassed, but at this moment, Her expression was extremely excited. Help! Why is this man so handsome? He's so good at fighting. Left hook, right hook. Aw, I'm dying. What kind of business are you in? Can you change your career and become a hitman? Set up an organization, assassinate idiots. Kill them all. Following Linda's gaze, I saw 2 people lying on the ground, and Charles was standing there. The remaining 7 or 8 people were looking at him with serious expressions. Surrounding him, there was blood dripping from his hands. I didn't know if it was his or someone else's, but his tense figure was like a wild beast on the hunt. I suddenly understood why these people didn't dare to step forward, because no one wanted to be targeted by the beast and become its prey. Linda was still screaming with shining eyes over there. Can the author please write a side story for the second male lead? I want to read the story of him in high school. In the original story, it only briefly mentioned that Charles in high school was really wild. How wild was he? Tell us more in detail. I'm pleading with my own blood for a side story. Please. I looked at Charles at this moment, but I felt a strange sense of familiarity. It was as if a long time ago I had seen him like this. With the addition of the guards, this group of people was quickly subdued. I walked closer to Linda, and only then did she realize that I had also come. For a moment, we stared at each other with wide eyes, and it was extremely rare that there was not a single word in her mind. I silently untied her bonds. There were blood marks on her wrists from the ropes, and I couldn't bear to look at them, feeling a bit sad in my heart. I'll put some medicine on your wrists when we get home later, I said softly. Linda was silent for a while, and suddenly she reached out and hugged me. She buried her head in the back of my neck, and I felt the cold water stains running down the back of my neck. She was actually crying. Thank you, she said to me in a very, very soft voice. My nose also felt a bit sour. This was probably the first time she had spoken sincerely to me without any pretense. She must have been really scared just now. Right, just as I was thinking about whether to say some words of comfort, the sound of Linda crying in her heart interrupted me. Unlike her silent tears at this moment, she was wailing loudly in her mind. Woo-woo, the female lead is like a little sun on earth, so warm. Woo-woo, I, the great sage equal to heaven, would like to call her Bodhisattva. Woo-woo-woo, I actually feel the love of a mother from her. Could it be that my mother has transmigrated into her body? Woo-woo-woo. I miss my mom so much. I'm feeling a bit emo. I need to find something to vent my anger on. It's decided. It'll be them. With that thought, she suddenly let go of me. Linda quickly wiped the tears from her face with her hand. Her eyes flashed with determination, and she took a few steps to stand in front of the subdued gangsters. To everyone's astonishment, she raised her foot and accurately kicked each of the gangsters in the groin. At this moment, screams rose and fell one after another in the alley, making it seem like hell. If you don't know how to use something properly, it's advisable to make it useless. She showed a kind smile. After experiencing the pain of being sterilized, these people confessed everything. They weren't real gangsters, just a group of hooligans. Someone had planned all of this, but they didn't know who the mastermind was. They only knew that a woman would be sent to them tonight, once they raped her. They could get a generous reward. The other party was well hidden, but with Charles's ability, the result came out quickly. It was Lucy. Apparently, the glass of red wine that made her lose face had made her hold a grudge against Linda. After we got home, Linda and I told our parents about this matter, hoping that they would take the James family to court, but my father chose to suppress this matter, because we have a cooperation with the James family recently. My mother also said that since it concerns Linda's chastity, if it gets spread around, it won't sound good. I stood aside, feeling completely cold all over. The sound of Linda cursing in her heart rang out again. What beastly behavior. Even a dog would be a better parent than them. When on earth will the second male lead change his career and become a hitman? Just take these two away together. I can't stand it anymore. I want to curse at these two with 10 swear words each. Forget it. Let them go. Otherwise, the female lead will be caught in the middle and have a really hard time. Who asked these two old fogies to raise her for 20 years? She has feelings for them. Sigh. I listened quietly. Many things in my heart suddenly became clear to me in an instant. After a while, I spoke up. Mom probably thinks that if Linda's matter gets spread around randomly and she can't marry into a good family in the future, our family will lose a helper, right? I suddenly realized that they had always been like this. In the face of interests, family affection took a back seat to some extent, whether it's me or Linda. In the face of interests, we are all bargaining chips. In the past, I just didn't want to believe it before. Looking back, I was engaged to Sam when I was very young. Before the engagement, we had never even met, so they actually didn't care whether I liked the other person or not, and whether I would be happy in the future. They only cared about how much benefit I could bring to the family. It seemed that I really hit the nail on the head because my father became furious in an instant. "Sonny, figure out your current identity. As an outsider, don't butt in and criticize family affairs." I grinned and said, "A family like this is better off without." After saying that, I turned around and left. If it weren't for Linda, I'm afraid I would still be immersed in the beautiful illusion they created. It's all fake. As Linda said, I really had such a terrible life. What would probably break me down in the end would still be the harm brought to me by my family. After all, I once really thought I was very happy. Holy crap, what a shining light of justice. She's so cool and I love her so much. Woman, within 3 minutes, I want to see you leave this home. Don't look back. Even a mosquito would be confused. What the hell kind of devilish family is this? It sucks blood even more than a mosquito. Hurry up and leave. Linda paused, as if she remembered something again. Sigh, I really want to leave with her, but wouldn't that break my character set? No way. I still have to keep getting in the way of the female lead and that scumbag Sam. I have to maintain my image as the evil supporting female character. I can't leave. I'll watch the female lead leave. While she goes out to fight, I'll guard the home. Where on earth does she get so many strange ideas? I sighed and looked back at Linda. What are you standing there for? I said slowly. Aren't you leaving? Her expression instantly relaxed. Then there was a sound. Woof. Without saying a word, Linda directly followed me. My father's angry roar came from behind. Fine, you two leave. Just leave. If you have the guts, don't come back again. Linda turned around and made a face. Is there such a good thing? If we don't come back, we won't come back. They should think that we won't be able to hold on for 2 days outside. We have no money and no place to stay. Our cards have been stopped, and we didn't take any of the valuable things from home. Once we're hungry and cold, we'll know to crawl back home. Unfortunately, they don't know. I became interested in self-media since my freshman year of university and earned some money. I bought a small house for myself outside the 3rd Ring Road. My monthly income is relatively stable, and I've saved a considerable amount of money. At that time, it was just a whim, but I didn't expect it to be useful today. I was just about to take a taxi there when I came out. I saw Charles leaning against his car, smoking a cigarette. He was actually still here. Uncle, why are you two? We both spoke at the same time and then fell silent at the same time. In this somewhat delicate atmosphere, I heard Linda start reciting a poem. In the pitch-black night, the cold iron. Who is it that illuminates this land? It turns out to be me, a giant light bulb that is shining and giving off heat. After reciting it, she let out a long sigh. Mr. Franklin. Just now the two of us didn't follow our parents' wishes, and now we've both been kicked out of the house. My sister and I are both homeless. Wait a minute, where did you get the confidence to say that we're homeless? I have a house outside. It has 3 bedrooms and 1 living room, I said. She looked at me with a look of disappointment. But you haven't lived in it for a long time. It will take 2 days to clean it up. I'm afraid of getting dirty, I said. I would go and stay there for a few days from time to time when I was at school. Don't worry, it's very clean. The lighting is sufficient. The air conditioner, both the cooling and heating functions work. Well, what about the toothbrush and slippers? There are spare ones. She gritted her teeth, looking as if she had made up her mind. But sister, I was so scared tonight. Woo-woo, it was really, really terrifying. So I want to go to a place with strong positive energy. For example, Mr. Franklin's house. Me, what kind of strange thing is this to say? She can come up with any kind of excuse just to match me and Charles together. I suddenly didn't know what to say. Just when I was at a loss for words, I heard Linda's roar again. Second male lead. What are you standing there for? Speak up. Show your stance. Man up. The opportunity is right in front of you. Can you just reach out and grab it? Are you still a man? I reasonably doubt your ability. Prove yourself. Hurry up. Linda was extremely anxious and looked at Charles in front of her almost greedily. If I didn't know the truth, it would be hard not to suspect that she has some feelings for Charles. But knowing the truth, I increasingly feel that the way Linda looks at Charles, it's like a gambler looking at banknotes. I seem to see the ragged beggar Linda holding a banknote with Charles's head printed on it and slamming it on the table. Bet? Bet it all. This local bumpkin bets all her wealth that the female lead and the second male lead will be together. I was actually touched by the plot I imagined in my mind. She really tries hard, really. Just when the atmosphere started to get strange again, Charles took the cigarette out of his mouth, slowly exhaled a circle of white smoke, and then extinguished the cigarette. I don't care. It's just that the house is quite cold and quiet, but there are quite a lot of rooms. And you can live on the second floor. Sonny, it's up to you. He handed the decision-making power to me. Do you want to go? I shouldn't have looked into his eyes, otherwise, I wouldn't have seen that after the ice in his eyes melted, there was an endless tenderness hidden deep inside, along with restraint and a little bit of faint hope. My heart softened, as if cotton had bounced in my chest. Let's go, I said. I'm sorry for bothering you, Uncle. He looked at me deeply, and the hope in his eyes seemed to shine. After a long time, Charles raised the corner of his mouth and smiled briefly. It's not a bother, he said slowly. At the same time, Linda beside us didn't seem like a normal person anymore. She reverted to her ancestral ways. She was cheering and jumping around like a savage, and it was even out in the open. Ayo. She called out continuously. Positive energy. Positive energy. Hee, positive energy. It was obvious that she had given up speaking normally. I didn't understand. I could only hear the sound of fireworks in her mind. I'm crying my eyes out. Guys, who understands? I'm chasing behind with a stick. The second male lead took a small step. The female lead took a small step. Does a small step plus a small step equal 2 steps? No, this is a huge step forward for humanity. Crossing mountains, crossing the sea, crossing the earth, crossing the galaxy. I can already see the bright future of these two people. Who understands? Who understands? Charles's house was indeed quite cold and quiet, even a bit icy, just like him. Such a large space only had some necessary furniture, extremely simple. He said this was just a place to live, and as long as it could accommodate people, it was fine. Linda mysteriously wagged her finger at him. No, she said. Mr. Charles, you're lacking a mistress in this house. If you lived with the person you love, you would definitely spend every day thinking about how to make the house more rich and warm. Charles quickly glanced at me. I pretended not to notice. When I lowered my head, I felt my ears burning. I raised my hand and scratched the edge of my ear. Quite a lot of things happened tonight. It was almost 12 o'clock by the time we finished tidying up. I was just about to say goodnight to Charles and go upstairs to sleep. But in the light, I caught sight of the wound on the back of his hand. The blood had already coagulated. If it weren't for the light shining on it, it would have been hard to notice. I stopped in my tracks. Uncle, your hand. He seemed to have just realized it. He raised his hand and took a look. Oh, it's okay. It's someone else's blood. I didn't really believe it. No matter how I looked at it, it didn't seem like there was just dried blood on it. Do you mind if I take a look? I walked up to him. It won't take up too much of your time. Charles's gaze fell on me, and after a long time, he said, it's up to you. I took his hand and looked at it carefully. Sure enough, it wasn't just coagulated blood, but it was okay. It was just a shallow cut. After cleaning the blood around the wound, I rummaged through his first aid kit. There weren't many other medicines, but fortunately, there was iodine and medical bandages. When I brought them over, he was standing there in a daze. Uncle, I was just about to ask him to stretch out his hand when Charles interrupted me. Sonny, he stated, you and Sam have already broken off the engagement. I didn't expect him to bring this up suddenly. I just took his hand on my own and dipped a cotton swab in iodine and gently applied it around the wound. I let out a in response. Charles's fingers curled up unconsciously. I didn't know if it was a bit painful or if he was nervous. I was waiting there tonight, actually just to tell you, since you've broken off the engagement, you don't have to call me uncle anymore, he continued. I looked up at Charles in confusion. His gaze was a bit intense, and I quickly lowered my head again. I heard him say slowly, Sonny, just call me by my name. My heart fluttered, and the cotton swab rubbed heavily against his wound. He sucked in a breath of air. I said in a flustered manner, Franklin. I opened my mouth but couldn't call out his name for a long time, and finally failed. I could only imitate Linda's tone, Mr. Charles. I don't know why, but it was such a normal address, yet I felt my face getting hot again and again. I lowered my head and pretended to handle the wound carefully, not daring to look up. Strange, why do I feel shy? Although I'm not really thick-skinned usually. It shouldn't be that just a title can make me blush. Perhaps it's because we're standing too close. And I'm still holding his hand. his hand is so big, so I'm just holding his index finger, but I'm just applying medicine, and physical contact is quite normal, or perhaps it's because he's so tall that when I lower my head in front of him, his shadow envelopes me layer by layer. I feel like I'm in his arms, and I can smell the faint tobacco scent on him. But when I'm with other men, including Sam, I've never felt so embarrassed and blushed like this. I seem to have grasped the key point, Charles. He's different, he's cold on the outside but warm on the inside, his gentlemanliness that comes from his bones, the inexplicable sense of security he gives, his rationality, his calmness, the way he protected me today and didn't let me get involved in danger. More importantly, he has always respected me like that, since we met until now, without exception. I understand, Charles, he fits all my ideal types. I can't help but be attracted to him, I thought blankly, just then. I heard him laugh softly above my head. Mr. Charles, he seemed to be savoring my address to him. Mr. Seems like it's not bad either. I spun around like a wind-up top and quickly wrapped the bandage around his hand. Then I fled from there as if running away. When I went upstairs, I met Linda, who had just washed her hair and taken a shower. We looked at each other for a second, and I heard a big question mark in her mind. Why is the female lead's face so red? She just ran up from downstairs, and the second male lead is downstairs. What on earth did I miss? Is there anything that my noble QQ Pink Diamond membership can't see? Could it be that they, in the pitch black night, the cold iron, the man and the woman's eyes meet, and in an instant, sparks fly, they get closer and closer, closer and closer, imagining 3,000 words. Hearing the increasingly outrageous and risque plot in Linda's mind, I interrupted her. Stop imagining, I said. It's not what you think. Oh, it's not. So disappointing. Wait, was that the female lead talking? How does she know I'm imagining things? I had already planned to confess to her, in case she gets hurt again because of something like what happened tonight. Then I would truly be a heinous sinner. It was me talking, I replied. Also, not only do I know you were imagining things, but I also know that 3 huge question marks and 3 huge exclamation marks popped up in your mind just now. Seeing that she was standing there speechless, I continued to explain. The sound of the question marks is duang duang duang, and the sound of the exclamation marks is dong dong dong. So, Linda, I've always been able to hear what you're thinking in your heart. She stood there as if turned to stone, as if she had experienced the most embarrassing social death in the world. After a long time, I thought she was about to drown in the frozen air, but Linda finally spoke. I don't believe it. She still tried to struggle. You're bluffing me, I read emotionlessly. In the pitch black night, the cold iron, the man and the woman's eyes meet, and in an instant, sparks fly, they get closer and closer, closer and closer. She rushed over with a devastated expression and covered my mouth. Stop talking. If you say any more, I'll kill myself. Actually, I couldn't go on either, but I had to pretend to be calm to bluff her. Do you believe me now? I said, pretending to be composed. Linda was like a deflated balloon. Okay then, she said, to be honest, what do you think of my acting skills? I told a lie without changing my expression. You can at least win all the major awards. She let out a sigh of relief. With your words, that's enough. I gave her a thumbs up. The future looks promising. We looked at each other for a while, and there was a hint of emotion on her face. Linda stepped forward and took my arm. Damn it, I've long since didn't want to be that evil supporting female character. In my opinion, beautiful women should stick together. What's with all that disgusting rivalry? There's just too little homework. She curled her lips in disdain. Then she looked at me happily, with a relaxed expression. Sister, I can still call you that, right? I was curious. How old are you? I was only 19 before I transmigrated. I'm a year younger than you, she said. I nodded, suppressing the urge to say that some of her behaviors were like those of an elementary school student. What's your real name? When it came to this, she looked speechless. It's Linda, exactly the same as this character's name, she said, when I was reading the book. Someone suggested that I memorize the whole text in case I transmigrated into the book. I replied to her with, ha 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 ha. Damn it, I was so stupid. I really thought she was just joking with me, but I didn't expect she was a prophet. Me, ha 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 ha. She stared at me with wide eyes. You're still laughing. My heart is broken into 49 pieces. God wouldn't even need so many fragments to mend the sky. I'm so sad, so heartbroken. I finally didn't have to hold back my laughter and kept laughing. Now there's a way to mend my broken heart. I took a deep breath and held back my laughter. Go ahead and tell me. You run downstairs now and ask Charles if you can see his abs. Me, I'll run downstairs and tell Charles the story you imagined just now and say it's the story you wrote. Of course, I was just bluffing her. I didn't have the guts to do it at all. Linda shrank her head. Forget it. Let's each take a step back and live in peace. It's better to live in peace. Hee. She hesitated for a long time. I glanced at her. Don't hold it in. If you have something to say, say it. She finally opened her mouth. Sister, do you really have no feelings for Charles? This question really hit the spot. I was in a trance for a moment. Linda seemed to have discovered a new world and instantly became excited. She suddenly grabbed my hand and dragged me into the room with a fierce expression. Wait a minute, why does she look like a villain? Tell me quickly, give me the details. I really want to hear this woo-woo, she howled. Give me something to satisfy my curiosity. I'm starving for this. The result of our late-night chat was that when we woke up the next day, both of us had huge dark circles under our eyes. Panda, a beaten stray dog. We pointed at each other's dark circles and said at the same time. Then we both laughed. What a heartless woman, she frowned. Who calls their own sister a beaten stray dog? No, you used to bark like a dog in your mind quite often before. Stop. Linda covered her ears. Sister, my one and only sister, please don't mention it. I want to save face. I understand that even a stray dog has its dignity. It's everyone's responsibility to protect stray dogs. There's no need to mention this matter anymore. After washing up, we saw Charles. He had even prepared breakfast and was sitting on the sofa, looking at his computer. I didn't know what to do for a moment. Last night, I heard a lot of stories, mine and Charles's. There was so much information that I still haven't been able to digest it properly. I've never truly liked someone like this before, nor have I been liked by someone so much. These emotions caught me off guard, and I couldn't figure out how to face them. In fact, when Linda and I were chatting enthusiastically last night, I almost ran downstairs and knocked on Charles's door. Then told him all my feelings at once, but now that we've met, I'm a coward. Where should I start? Would it be too straightforward to say, I like you, do you want to be together, or, thank you for always liking me so much, let's date? It doesn't seem to sound very sincere. The moonlight was beautiful last night. I looked at the moon and thought of you. Wait, there was no moon last night. You're exactly my type. You completely fit my ideal partner. Would that be too utilitarian? Hey. Fall in love with me. Why did I sound like Linda? It's so difficult, really. It's so hard. I stood there, and blurted out a word. Hi. Charles looked over, and his eyebrows and eyes relaxed. Good morning, he said to me. My attention was actually on the way Charles's Adam's apple rolled up and down. There's something wrong with me. After Linda finished tidying up and came downstairs, she saw me and Charles sitting opposite each other at the dining table. Both of us burying our heads and eating the toast on the plate. There was a bit of silent awkwardness in the air. What's going on? What's wrong with you, Sonny? She scolded me in her mind. Wasn't this supposed to be a confession? How could a confession be like this? Was all my earnest advice last night for nothing? I don't want it to be like this either. But when I'm facing Charles, I feel so strange. I actually looked at his abdomen just now. If his clothes were lifted up, there would be abs there. My mind completely froze, and I even forgot to listen to what he said just now. This also made the atmosphere between us more and more strange, more and more strange. Next time, I secretly promised. Next time for sure, I'll tell him my feelings, since I couldn't get my mindset right now. After breakfast, I thanked him and rushed back to my small house with 3 bedrooms and 1 living room. Linda scolded me all the way. From the free reproduction of humans in the Paleolithic age to the free love of modern humans, she almost slapped the history of humanity on my forehead, trying to tell me to cherish my life and not think too much. She was so anxious that her voice cracked several times. She didn't crack her voice this badly even when she sang out of tune. Later, seeing that I looked like a dead pig not afraid of boiling water, she finally stopped. I could only encourage myself in my heart. Next time I see Charles. For sure. Before seeing Charles, I did one thing, which was to take revenge on Lucy. Since my family didn't want to go through the legal process, I had to find another way. When she did such a terrible thing to Linda, she should have thought about the consequences. I've said it before, having been the eldest daughter of the Taylor family for so long, I have a lot of secrets about these people in my hands. Just revealing one of them can make Lucy suffer, not to mention. I'm also in the self-media industry. When the public opinion was pushed to the peak, Lucy didn't dare to go out anymore. There were a lot of curses about her on the internet. She had bullied others on campus, faked academic achievements many times, and even stole someone else's postgraduate quota. She also did business with hooligans and asked them to rape girls she didn't like. I released the chat records. Of course, they were forged, but it didn't matter. What mattered was that others would believe them, having done so many evil deeds. It's not surprising that more and more charges were added to her. Lucy liked socializing, then I would ruin her entire social circle. When Linda knew about this, she stared at me for a long time and asked, "Sister, if you have this ability, why were you bullied so badly in the book?" I couldn't answer her question. Did you read a pirated version? I guessed. Bullshit. Her self-esteem was hurt. I paid for it. More than 20 yuan. I'll transfer 20 yuan to you later. I waved my hand generously. Don't be sad about the money. Boss is so generous. She handed me her phone. Transfer more. I transferred 2,000 yuan to her. She was stunned. The great revenge has been avenged. Let's go have a good meal, I said. She threw herself at me with tears in her eyes and hugged me. I knew she was a sentimental person because she had cried 3 times while watching SpongeBob SquarePants because of Squidward yesterday. I patted Linda on the back. It's a great thing to get rid of Lucy. I imitated some of her swear words. Don't tell me you're mourning for her. Linda sobbed and said, "Sister, you're so kind, really. Come on, Linda." I joked. Are you this touched by 2,000 yuan? She was still crying, wiping her tears and snot on my clothes. Woo woo woo, in all senses. You're really, really kind. You have to be happy this time. Do you hear me? I was silent for a long time and then solemnly promised, okay, actually, I can probably guess why. Even though I had the secrets of these people in the book, I still lived such a terrible life. Because in the book, I was despair of everything. It didn't matter whether I took revenge or not, that me didn't want to save myself anymore. Fortunately, Linda came. She created something real in my life full of illusions. I will be happy, because this time, I want to save myself more than anyone else. The matter of Lucy fermented for a full half-month. The act of stealing the postgraduate quota also seriously damaged the James family, and Charles seized the opportunity to acquire the group. These are things that happened later. Now I'm in a tricky situation. On the 3rd day after pushing Lucy to the peak of public opinion, I was imprisoned by Sam, because I was busy with a competition recently. I stayed in the school library until it closed. To get home quickly, I went out from the closer east gate of the school. There were a lot of small paths there, and it was very dark. There were few people on the road. Sam appeared in front of me at this time. "Sonny," he called me. I quickly walked past him, remembering the words he said on the phone the day Linda had an accident. I just felt disgusted. He stopped me again. "Sonny." Sam blocked all my paths. His voice was very soft. "Don't stop liking me." I looked at him coldly. "Sam, it's over between us." A look of confusion appeared on his face. "It's over. Then what about you?" He paused here. Sam's face changed instantly. "Sonny, who are you going to start something with?" He looked very abnormal. A sinister darkness gradually crept into his eyes. Looking closely, it was like an abyss. I just wanted to run or call for help. Sam seemed to see my intention. He instantly covered my mouth and pulled me into a nearby small path. He took something out of his pocket and covered my nose and mouth. My consciousness gradually faded. Before I fell asleep, I heard him say, "Sonny, you forced me to do this." I'm really speechless. What did I force you to do? It's your own fault. I thought of Linda's curse words. He clearly came prepared, yet he's still pretending to be innocent here. Just wait to go to jail. All I could do was stare blankly into space. There were no windows here, but there was a grandfather clock. I had only been here for 2 days, yet it felt as long as 2 months. I didn't lose my temper or break down. Instead, I accepted the reality with extreme calm. According to what Linda said about the original story, I was indeed supposed to be imprisoned by Sam, but that was supposed to happen 3 years later. Only after Sam started taking over the family business and cultivating his own influence would he have enough financial resources and energy to build a cage to lock me away. Not now. So I never expected that, before he was fully established, he would have the audacity to do something so illegal. Sure enough, a madman is a madman. I can't believe I stayed by this madman's side for so long. I guess I'm lucky to be alive. The place where I'm imprisoned is clearly not as magnificent as the cage Linda mentioned. It's cramped and dim, probably a hidden chamber. I have no idea where Sam found this place. If I stay locked up here for a few more days, I might develop some mental problems. Sam kept brazenly promising, "Sonny, don't worry, once I take over the Franklin family, I'll set you free, then we'll get married, just like we planned, and be together forever. Take over the Franklin family, who do you think you are?" These words sounded so familiar. As Linda told me, he used the exact same excuse when he imprisoned me in the original story. The difference was that, in the original, he was already married to the real Linda at that time. If Charles is everything I ever wanted in a partner, then Sam's actions are exactly what I find repulsive. His sickening display of false affection. For example, right now, his hand gently caressed my face and then slithered like a snake to my neck. The cold, delicate touch sent chills down my spine and made my skin crawl. I couldn't hold back and retched, "Ugh." He froze for a moment, then suddenly stood up and hurled the glass water cup on the table at the wall. With a loud bang, it shattered into pieces. After a long while, Sam slowly turned around and looked down at me, his eyes devoid of any warmth, though he let out a couple of dry laughs. "Stop pretending. The night you went to Charles's. You too already." He pinched my cheeks, forcing me to look at him. "Sonny, hating me won't change anything. Now that you're in my hands, you'll belong to me and me alone." After that, he gave me a look that said, "Do as you please," and slammed the door behind him as he left. I just sat there, trying to make sense of what had just happened. No wonder Sam went crazy earlier than in the original story. He must have thought that Charles and I, once he's in jail, I'm definitely going to tell him, "If the melon isn't ripe, don't eat it. Otherwise, you'll end up like this." False rumors can ruin lives. I let the shards of the glass cup scratch my hand on purpose, just to test his reaction. If Sam didn't show up soon, my wound would start to heal on its own. Thankfully, he came to bring me food. When he saw the wound on my hand, he asked in a hoarse voice, "How did you get hurt?" I replied indifferently, "I was picking up the broken glass." Sam's face turned pale, and even in the dim light, I could see how shaken he was. See, people who fake their emotions always have this trait. They end up moved or tortured by their own pretense. Sam fetched a band-aid and held my hand, repeatedly saying, "I'm sorry, Sonny, I'm so sorry. Please forgive me. It won't happen again." He was acting like a complete lunatic. After putting on the band-aid, Sam didn't leave. Instead, he sat by my bedside and started reminiscing about our childhood. He talked about the first time we met, when I poked my head out of the window and waved at him, saying, "Good afternoon, future husband." He recalled how, during our pretend play, I insisted on playing his mother and made him egg fried rice out of Play-Doh, even though his real mother never cooked for him and often left him hungry. He mentioned the time we got lost in the forest, and I carried him on my back, limping, until we found our way out after he sprained his ankle. He told me about the first time he held my hand in high school, and how his heart raced and his face turned red for ages. He even admitted that, during our senior year of high school, he had looked at countless wedding dresses. He rambled on and on, exhausted from listening. I interrupted him. "So, Sam, in the end, you still gave up on me." He stared at me, his eyes red-rimmed. In an instant, he seemed like a shell of a person, walking out of the hidden chamber in a daze, his steps heavy despite his lifeless demeanor. From 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. a full 12 hours passed, and Sam didn't show up. I was starving. Then, I heard Linda's voice in my head. "Sister, I thought I was hearing things." She spoke again. "I'm pretty sure you're here." I immediately jumped up. The soundproofing in this hidden chamber was so good that no outside noise could get in. But I could hear Linda's thoughts. "Listen, sister, is there a grandfather clock in your room?" I looked at the grandfather clock in the corner. "If there is, set the hands to 11:27, then open the cabinet below the clock. I'll hold this bastard off. If you can hear me, do it now. Hurry." I rushed to the clock, my hands trembling uncontrollably. As I set the time to 11:27, I heard a click, the sound of a lock opening. It turned out the cabinet had been locked all along. When I opened it, I was stunned and thrilled by what I saw. The grandfather clock was connected to the wall, and inside the cabinet was a passageway that seemed to lead into the unknown. As I crawled through the passage, there was only one thought in my mind: Sam is completely insane. When I finally emerged from the tunnel, covered in mud, I looked around and realized with a shock that this was the villa where Sam and his mother lived. The tunnel led directly to a thicket outside the villa. I stood up and was about to leave when I heard Sam's voice behind me, his tone unreadable. "Sonny." I turned around stiffly. I don't know when he had appeared not far behind me and was walking straight towards me. Maybe setting the clock triggered some kind of alarm on his end. I took off running, but there was no way I could outrun Sam. Just as he was about to catch up, I crashed into a sturdy embrace. "Sonny," Charles's deep voice came from above me, and tears welled up in my eyes instantly. Unlike Sam, Charles always called my name with such tenderness and care. I instinctively wrapped my arms around him tightly. He froze in surprise. "Thank goodness," I sobbed. "Thank goodness it's you." Sam, who had been chasing me, stopped in his tracks and just stood there, staring at us in silence. He seemed to have lost all life in that moment, standing there like a statue. Charles pulled me behind him, and I could feel Sam's eyes fixed on me. Damn it, is Sam the Usain Bolt of scumbags? He disappeared in a flash. He's just a dog. How can I outrun him on 2 legs? I hope he didn't notice anything. This bastard is so alert. I hope Charles has found my sister. I can't let Sam get to her first. Before she even showed up, Linda's anxious thoughts reached my ears. Sure enough, Linda came panting after Sam. When she saw that I was safe, she let out a long sigh of relief. She was about to start yelling at Sam when Charles spoke up. "Sam, you know I used to box," he said. I watched as Charles took off his suit jacket and unbuttoned his shirt cuffs. He tossed the jacket to me. In the split second I looked down to catch it. His fist had already connected with Sam's face, sending Sam flying backward. Linda exclaimed, "Whoa." Charles walked over and grabbed Sam by the collar. I'd never seen Charles look so terrifying before, as if he wanted to kill Sam on the spot. "Sam," he hissed through clenched teeth, his voice filled with barely contained rage. "I should never have been so careless as to leave Sonny in your hands." Sam was taken away by the police, charged with illegal detention. He was finally going to face the consequences. He didn't resist or struggle. He was eerily calm, as if he had expected this outcome all along and was now accepting his fate. Before he left, he looked at me. Charles and I were standing together, some distance away from him. He said something to me, something that only I could understand. He said, "Sonny, I've always hoped you'd open that clock." His mother showed up at the police station, making a scene. Linda watched coldly and sneered at her. "Don't play the victim. If you hadn't built that hidden chamber back then, Sam wouldn't have had a place to lock people up now." His mother's face turned deathly pale. She collapsed to the ground, laughing and crying hysterically. With this scandal, Sam had lost any chance of becoming the family head, shattering all her hopes and dreams. I remembered Linda's explanation earlier. The only thing I could recall was that the hidden chamber was in the villa where Sam and his mother lived. I had no idea where exactly it was, so I had to repeat my instructions in my mind, hoping you'd hear me wherever you were. I didn't dare make a sound, afraid that if he caught on, he'd hurt you. After thinking it through, I realized that with his current resources, this was the only place he could hold you. The book mentioned the room in passing. It was built by his mother to punish him. Sam's father died when he was young, so his mother pinned all her hopes on him. Whenever he misbehaved as a child, she'd lock him in that room with no light and no food. Sam dug that secret tunnel while he was locked up. As much as I hate to admit it, he's got some skills. He even turned it into a hidden mechanism. I never thought that old punishment chamber would still be there. My bad, I zoned out. Lost in thought. Come to think of it, Sam's childhood wasn't as simple as I'd thought. I used to think I knew him well, but now I realized there were so many things about his past that I had no idea about. I suddenly remembered why he loved the song, "Baby," so much. It was because of the lyrics. "Have you ever come into my dreams? You must have been so careful, knowing I sleep lightly." Sam had always missed his father, who passed away when he was 7. Linda noticed I was deep in thought and pinched my cheek hard. "Don't feel sorry for the bad guys." I shook my head. It wasn't pity. No matter how tragic his past was, it was no excuse for him to hurt me. I just couldn't help but think that if Sam had had a happier childhood, maybe he wouldn't have been so desperate to cling to the little bit of affection I once showed him. The clock would tick through every moment of the day, except for 11:27, that time, the key to unlocking the door. Symbolized his freedom. He imprisoned me, yet at the same time, he secretly hoped I'd discover his hidden struggle. 11:27, November 27th, the day Sam and I first met, and also the day we got engaged. After leaving the police station, I still hadn't had dinner. Charles offered to take me to a nearby hotel. Don't get the wrong idea. Just for dinner, Linda yawned and said, I'm not coming. Dealing with that bastard Sam drained all my energy. I'm going home to recharge with some sleep. Bye. Yeah, right. What she really thought was, Sonny, you better make the most of this. Do you hear me? This is the perfect opportunity, late at night, after a dangerous ordeal. A lonely man and woman, well, single man and woman, head to a hotel. Things could heat up any second. Anyway, if you don't make a move tonight, don't bother coming home. Does she realize that's my home? With a look that said, you're on your own. Linda rode away on a shared bike. Since the hotel wasn't far, Charles and I decided to walk there. I was trying to figure out what to say when Charles broke the silence. Sonny, I'm sorry, he said, catching me off guard. I was confused. I couldn't think of anything he should apologize for. On the contrary, I should be the one thanking him. I quickly waved my hands and said, No, you saved me. There's nothing for you to apologize for. He turned to look at me, his eyes serious. That's not what I mean. Charles shook his head slightly. I once thought that you and Sam were the perfect match. He paused, then suddenly reached out and gently ruffled my hair. I heard him sigh softly. I'm sorry. My heart started pounding, and I felt a strange mix of emotions. Annoyance, mostly. He always did this, saying things that left me guessing. If it weren't for Linda, I might never have known how he really felt about me. Feeling frustrated, I muttered. I used to think Sam was the right one for me, too. He seemed taken aback. I continued, but recently, I've fallen for someone special. Now I understand that compatibility doesn't matter. All I know is that when I'm with him, my heart races, my mind goes blank, and even the air around us feels sweet. I want to be with him forever. Charles stopped walking for a moment. He masked the sadness in his eyes, and when he looked up, his expression was unreadable again. Oh, his voice dropped a little. So you found someone, after a long pause, Charles said flatly. Congratulations. I gritted my teeth in frustration. Charles, what are you so afraid of? I blurted out angrily, but this person likes me too, and he has for a long time, yet he never says anything. He keeps pushing me towards other people, thinking that's what's best for me. I hate him for that. He seemed to realize I was talking about him and came to a complete stop. The warm yellow light of the street lamp cast a long shadow over him as he stood there in silence. The air seemed to freeze, and I felt an inexplicable sense of nervousness. I don't know how much time had passed before he said in a hoarse voice, Who is it? Those two words carried a multitude of emotions. I don't know where I found the courage, but I grabbed Charles's hand and pressed it against my chest. Feel it. Is my heart racing? Then I placed his hand on my forehead. Do you feel the heat? Taking a deep breath, I said, Charles, can you tell who I like? I wasn't sure if he could sense it. All I knew was that my heart felt like it was about to leap out of my chest, and my mind was on the verge of exploding. I was too overwhelmed to react. After a while, a pair of large hands wrapped around my waist. By the time I started to calm down a bit, I was already tightly embraced by Charles. His presence enveloped me completely, and just when I'd managed to regain my composure, my mind started to go haywire again. It feels like a dream, he murmured. My brain was still in a state of shutdown. We just stood there, holding each other, as if in a trance. Finally, he spoke. You sounded nice just now. Charles seemed to chuckle. Call me again. Sonny, what? My name. So I grinned and repeated it several times. Charles, 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 Charles. He said with a smile in his voice. Good girl. I heard you. I hugged him back. Charles, don't push me to others ever again. His hand around my waist tightened, but then he quickly relaxed his grip, as if afraid of holding me too tightly. Never again, Charles promised, and don't keep everything to yourself and hide things from me, okay? Also, don't be so indirect when you want to give me food. If we're going to eat, let's eat together. If you want to see me, come see me openly. Talk more when we chat online. And stop just replying with oh, or that smiling emoji. You always end the conversation that way. He held back a laugh. All right, anything else? I looked up at him, and Charles, tell me if you get hurt. The dim yellow light seemed to dance in his eyes, turning into little sparks that scattered throughout, making his eyes shimmer. I could almost hear the strong, eager thumping of his heart. Wait, did his gaze just flicker to my lips? That's why he looked away so awkwardly. I tugged at Charles's arm, making him look at me again. Hey, I just confessed to you. My cheeks were burning hot. What about you? Don't you have anything to say to me? Charles's gaze returned to me. Help. I noticed his Adam's apple bob up and down again. I will be faithful to you and only you, always, he said. It took me a while to snap out of it. Shall we kiss? I blurted out on a whim. That seemed to be exactly the signal he was waiting for. As soon as the words left my mouth, he leaned down. The TV dramas lied to me. All that talk about fresh kisses is nonsense. After the actual experience, my legs were like jelly. After the kiss, the culprit even touched my flushed ear. Sonny, his voice was still laced with a hint of allure. This is how adults fall in love. On the day Charles and I got engaged, Linda was about to leave. At first, I had no idea she was going. She'd been keeping it from me, so when she came to say goodbye, I just stared at her in silence. Linda tried to play it off with a laugh. Don't look at me like that, sis. I didn't tell you because I knew you'd react like this. You're good at keeping secrets, I said slowly. You didn't even let it slip in your thoughts. She was munching on the fruit platter on the table, speaking indistinctly as she joked. What else could I do? If you didn't get engaged to Charles just because you were me, I'd be ruining my own ship. I couldn't help but laugh. How thoughtful of you. No big deal. No big deal, she said sheepishly. It was just the two of us in the room. I'd just finished the engagement ceremony when she came to find me. I couldn't quite describe how I felt. It was like a heavy weight was sinking inside me. After a while, I forced a smile. It's a good thing. You can finally go back to your world. She'd told me about it before. In that world, she had her mother, her friends, and the person she loved. In fact, I should have realized then that Linda didn't belong here. My smile seemed to be the last straw. As soon as I smiled, Linda started crying. What are you crying for? I threw a roll of toilet paper at her. If you're going, go happily. She cried through an entire pack of tissues. I was stunned. Are you leaving or not? She threw the empty tissue box at me. Her eyes were so swollen they were almost slits, but I could still feel her glaring at me. Stop rushing me. If it weren't for meeting you here, I'd have run off without looking back after finishing my mission. I burst out laughing. Haha, Linda, you look so ugly when you cry. How dare you laugh at me, she said, getting even angrier. Your dad, your mom, and your brother are all ugly. Well, she wasn't wrong, today. When they saw me getting engaged to Charles and tried to patch things up with me, Linda had used that same fiery attitude to scold them. You bunch of damn self-centered elitists. Since ancient times, your bloodline has only passed down one gene, pure selfishness. You've really mastered the art of bloodline awakening nothing but selfishness. She'd even forgotten that the body she was in also had that same blood running through its veins. This was probably the last time she'd stand up for me. They're your dad, your mom, and your brother. Thank you very much. Bullshit. They're Linda's. Linda from this world. We went back and forth like that. Oh right, I almost forgot about one thing. So when you leave, will the real Linda come back? I, the brilliant genius, have been giving her a good talking to in my head. Don't worry. She's so scared of me that she won't cause any trouble when she's back. Is that why it seemed like your left and right brains were fighting? That was made up. You're something else. I have to go. The last train back to my world is about to leave. Round trip ticket. I tried to joke. Her smile was more like a grimace. One way. I forced a smile, looking even more pitiful than her. Saves money. I saw little specks of light start to float around her, sparkling brightly. I thought that if her soul had a physical form, this is what it would look like. I tried to find something else to say. Linda, I never asked. What was your mission? Was it to get me and Charles together? The lights were already starting to separate from her body. Her body closed its eyes and fell into a deep sleep, but I could still hear her thoughts. Damn it, you're insulting me. How could I have such a cheesy mission? Why is she swearing? I laughed until tears came to my eyes. Then what was it? Sonny, you're so heartless. My mission was to make you happy. Can't you tell? What an abstract mission, I murmured. Why? I thought she was already gone, and I was just talking to myself out of habit. But after a while, her fading voice came back. Look at my phone screen, and then there was silence. After a long while, I finally moved, feeling dazed. I picked up her phone. It didn't need a password. On the phone screen, as the wallpaper, were 3 simple English words. Girls help girls. I stood in the middle of the room and, for the first time, burst into uncontrollable sobs. Extra Chapter 1. By the time I stepped into the bathtub, my mind was already in a fog. Thinking back to what Sam had said at noon, I couldn't understand why those words felt like poison seeping into my soul. He'd said, Sonny, do you really think your parents and brother don't know you're here with me? If you think of each person's world as being held up by a pillar, then mine collapsed in that very moment. I'd always thought that one day I'd escape the cage where Sam had imprisoned me. I'd always believed I could endure it, but now I wondered, what was the point of escaping? There was no one in this world waiting for me to get out. When Sam left, he'd smashed the glass on the table. I'd made him angry today because I'd called him dirty. But wasn't he? He was trying to juggle his relationship with Linda while also trying to possess me. Calling him dirty was too kind. He was despicable, disgusting. But there was nothing I could do about it, now that he was rising in power within the Franklin family, and there were signs that he could rival Charles. It was easy for him to keep a lowly adopted daughter of the Taylor family imprisoned. Adopted daughter of the Taylor family. What an ironic title. My loving parents were fake, and my affectionate brother was fake too. Were human emotions really that fragile, just because of a change in my identity? Could all those feelings disappear without a trace, as if they'd never existed? Or perhaps, I had a sinking feeling that they simply never cared about me from the very beginning. I can't go on living like this, I thought quietly, when the shards of the glass cup sliced into my wrist. I was so desperate to end it all that I made several more cuts. I didn't want an afterlife, or anything at all. I wanted to be a star, a lifeless star, just looking down on the world quietly. If someone occasionally looked up and said, "What a bright star," that would be enough for me. As I closed my eyes, I was losing all my senses. Even the pain felt distant, but then I heard Sam break down the door. He tried to cover the blood on my wrist, but the wounds were too deep. It had been a long time since I'd heard Sam sound so panicked. He was babbling, "Sonny, Sonny, please, please don't leave me. I'm begging you. Open your eyes and look at me. Don't leave me." The last time I'd heard him like this was in 5th grade. We'd gotten lost in the forest, and he'd sprained his ankle after tripping over a branch. I'd carried him out of the forest step by step. When we finally saw the rescuers, I collapsed to the ground. He'd rushed to my side, babbling incoherently just like now. My life is such a mess. Even at the end, I still couldn't understand why everyone I'd ever cared about had to hurt me. If there had been just one person who could stand firmly behind me, maybe I could have held on a little longer. I didn't need much, just one person would have been enough. Damn it, I'm going to throw knives at the author's house tonight. The girl on the bed closed her phone, buried her face in the pillow, and cried while cursing. "Woo woo woo, my little angel of a female lead. She's so miserable. Author, you have no heart. How dare you do this to her?" Once I transmigrate into the world of Naruto and learn ninjutsu, I'll get my revenge. Woo woo woo, bring her back to life. I really want to tell her that the second male lead has always been standing firmly behind her. Can't you let her read his mind? Your esteemed member, strongly suggest that the author add a mind-reading ability to her right away. Don't let them miss each other. It hurts. It really hurts so much. Finally, she cried herself out and fell into a deep sleep. When she woke up, her home had changed. To her shock, she realized she transmigrated into a wealthy family. She had to go on a spending spree right away. She spent the whole day shopping on the streets and the whole night browsing online. After a full day of diligent spending money recklessly, she finally learned her name, Linda. She couldn't help but laugh. It was the same as her real name. Soon, she met her stepsister, Sunny. She looked at her for a long time and finally smiled. "Sister, I really like your fiancé." Extra Chapter 2. Charles has also forgotten how old Sunny was when he first met her. He only remembers that she was a chubby, short little girl with baby fat on her face. This was the girl who would one day marry his nephew. She sure could eat. She ate most of the cake on the table. He thought rather naughtily that she would probably get cavities in the future. Charles was the late-born son of the Franklin family and the one who resembled the old Master Franklin the most, spoiled by the whole family. He had been a little troublemaker since he was a child, with a rebellious streak. His personality was more or less a bit mischievous. Later, he couldn't remember how many times he had met Sunny. The two families were related, so they would often run into each other from time to time. She called him uncle, in a timid voice, sounding a bit afraid of him. No wonder, in high school, he was a wild and bad-tempered guy. He smoked, fought, and skipped classes. Because he practiced boxing, no one in the high school area could beat him. He had a bit of a fierce aura. Even Sam was afraid of him, let alone a little girl. The youngest sister in his family had been married for 2 months, so he didn't know how to get along with such a young girl. He remembered that at that time, he just glared at her and said, "Move aside, you're blocking my way." Sunny's eyes turned red, and tears started to well up. Finally, she stood there and burst into tears. It was simply outrageous. Charles had never seen such a crybaby. He was at a loss as to what to do. His reputation, which he had built up over time, seemed to be on the verge of being ruined by this little girl. Charles squatted down and said, "Do you want to ride on my back?" That was the only trick he knew. Sunny stopped crying and looked at him with a somewhat speechless expression. "Uncle, I'm almost 8 years old. I don't play such childish games." He had a burst of anger with nowhere to vent. "Then why are you crying? Am I that scary?" She shook her head and looked extremely downcast. "My mom said I should start losing weight and can't eat so many sweets in the future." She pouted, and was about to cry again. "She threw away all my cakes, cookies, and chocolates." "Tisk," he sneered at such a trivial matter. "It's just sweets. Come on, I have plenty of them at my place." Sunny spent the whole afternoon in his room munching on cookies and cakes. Perhaps because of this deep bond over sweets, every time she saw him later, she no longer called him timidly. Instead, she happily waved at him and shouted, "Uncle." He would always ruffle her hair and say, "Has this little girl grown taller again?" She did keep growing taller. Correspondingly, she no longer shouted at him happily. She became polite and distant, her voice respectful. "Hello, Uncle." She also no longer cried like she did that day, or even at all. She was like a mannequin, lifeless. Charles suddenly felt sorry for her. How could such a nice little girl have become like this? Time passed, and he went to university while she was in 5th grade. Something happened that day. She got lost in the forest with Sam. He happened to be very close to the scene and also went to help. 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. When it was almost 4 hours, they were finally found. It wasn't really accurate to say, found. He saw that little girl carrying Sam, who was taller than her, and limping out of the forest. Her eyes were filled with determination. The moment she saw him, she finally let go of her tense emotions and collapsed to the ground. He suddenly didn't feel sorry for her anymore. This little girl had grown into such a person. Strangely enough, he felt just a bit proud. When he graduated from graduate school, she was in her 2nd year of high school. At his former high school, he went to give a speech as an outstanding former graduate. The principal was really brave. In high school, he had been a problem student who fought and skipped classes every day, but his high education and family background gave him a thick layer of prestige. After his speech, it was Sunny's turn to speak on stage as a student representative. He had just joined the company recently and had been busy with countless things, so he hadn't seen her for a long time. Charles was taken aback when he sat in the audience. She seemed to have changed a lot. The baby fat from before was gone, replaced by a beautiful face. She didn't look as naive as before. Her eyes were curved when she smiled. She had a high ponytail, and the sunlight fell through the glass ceiling of the hall, casting a golden glow on the top of her head. She was no longer the little girl who would cry when she lost her sweets. She was like a tenacious seed that had bloomed into a brilliant flower. Sunny stood on the stage, graceful and confident. He didn't know how to describe the feeling, but for a moment, Charles's heart skipped a beat. He was bewitched. He gave himself a reason. It was all because of the momentary fascination brought about by the contrast. So, being bewitched, he couldn't help but start paying attention to her whereabouts. But he forgot that the more attention you pay to someone, the easier it is to get caught up in them. Once, when she came to the Franklin family, she still greeted him politely as usual. "Uncle." Charles had already been in the company for a year at that time. In that den of foxes, he had long learned how to control his emotions. He just nodded slightly as a greeting, but she rarely said one more sentence to him. "You seem a bit tired, Uncle. You should pay attention to getting some rest." He stared at her in a daze. Something was wrong. Many people had said such words to him, but why was it that only when she said it did his mind go blank like now, with her voice echoing in his head? "You," just as he was about to say something, he was interrupted by Sam, who came running over. "Sunny, I've been looking for you for a long time. Why are you here?" Sam naturally took her hand. His gaze fell on their clasped hands, and his heart stabbed with a dull pain. He almost fled in a hurry. As he walked quickly, he kept asking himself, what on earth was he doing? She was his nephew's fiancé, and he was 8 years older than her. What a big gap. They were the ones who looked well matched together, childhood sweethearts, innocent and carefree, from primary school to high school, and in the future, from campus to the wedding hall, and he was just a bewitched passerby. He forced himself to stop paying too much attention to her and put all his thoughts into his work. The Franklin family's business gradually grew stronger. And there were more and more voices about him from the outside world. They said he was born to be a business genius. He thought that with his current status and influence, he had long forgotten about Sunny, but when he heard that the daughter of the Taylor family was someone else and Sunny had become an adopted daughter, he couldn't help but care about the matter. Until Sam and Sunny broke off their engagement, he finally couldn't help but go to find her. "Do you really like Sam that much?" he asked indirectly. She had also become a person who could control her emotions. She looked at the mountains in the distance, as if lost in thought. "Yes, I do," she said. "I've liked him since I was a child, and it hasn't changed. Have you ever thought about liking someone else?" He still didn't give up. She smiled quickly. "Never." He decided to go abroad. When facing Sunny, he seemed to always be timid. There was always a definition of her in his mind. She was someone he shouldn't like, not to mention that she liked Sam so much. He wanted to try to let go of her and also free himself. He stayed abroad for several years and built up the Franklin family's reputation and influence there. One day, when chatting with his high school classmates, someone mentioned the people of the Taylor family. "Kevin. Do you remember that little guy with glasses in high school?" He paused. Of course, he remembered. That was Sunny's brother. The classmate continued. "I heard that he married Lucy last year. That woman is not ordinary." She directly kicked the adopted daughter of the Taylor family out of the Taylor family. Someone asked, "After all, it's been more than 20 years of affection. Could the Taylor family really let that adopted daughter go?" "Huh, you underestimate the Taylor family. The James family has been doing well this year, hasn't it? The people of the Taylor family are fawning over them. Whatever Lucy says, the Taylor family does it immediately." Charles bought a plane ticket for that night and returned to the country. While sitting on the plane, he kept thinking that he shouldn't have heard any news related to Sunny. When he returned to the country, he heard that she had already gone abroad for a trip. She could still go on a trip, so she was probably in a good state. He threw himself into his work again. Since Sunny didn't have a backer anymore, then he would be her backer. Yes, not as a lover or a husband, he would be her support. He waited and waited. He thought that once Sunny returned to the country, he would protect her well. 2 months later, he received the news of her death. She committed suicide. Going abroad was just a cover set up by Sam, and in the past 2 months, she had lived in a place without freedom, losing her vitality bit by bit. He silently picked up the gun he had brought back from abroad and went to find Sam, but Sam was also dead. He didn't even have someone to take revenge on. Finally, he sat in front of her grave, hesitating to put down the flowers in his hand. Charles suddenly woke up from the nightmare, gasping for breath, like a drowning man. After coming to his senses, he quickly turned his head to confirm the person beside him. She was sleeping soundly. As usual, when she was sleeping, she would always curl up in his arms. Thank goodness, it was just a dream. Even though it was so real, it was just a dream. What's wrong? Perhaps he had made too much noise. And Sunny also woke up. She held his face in her hands. "Did you have a nightmare?" Limited to reading Linda's mind. Sunny, he looked at her and pretended to be vulnerable. He found that she really fell for this. This dream was so scary. Sure enough, she took the bait. She hugged him and patted his back and stroked his head. "Don't be afraid, don't be afraid." She comforted him. "What kind of dream was it? You secretly ate 3 cakes last night, and then when you woke up this morning, you found that you had gained 10 pounds, he said seriously. Sunny was stunned for a while. "Charles," she shouted, but he pulled her into his arms. "If you like to eat, then eat. Sunny, do everything you like. Not just be her backer." He wanted to be her boyfriend, her husband, the love of her life. He would protect her and make sure she was safe and happy this time. After hearing the story above, what are your thoughts? Feel free to share your opinions in the comments section. Looking forward to hearing from you. If you liked this story, don't forget to like it, share it, and subscribe to my channel. See you next time.